Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we are going to talk about this weekend's matches, next weekend's matches, the race for champs. Going to do a little dive into our top 3 players per position this year, talk a little bit more X-Defiant, get into some interesting roster rumors we heard, and just, overall talk COD. We got Brock back. It's going to be a normal week. If you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We appreciate all the support. As always, you guys have been crushing it. It's like 3 straight videos approaching over 1K on YouTube, as well as a bunch of you over on Spotify and the audio platforms. So you guys have been absolutely crushing it. We can tell the ramp up for champs is on. We appreciate it. As always, let's just jump into this one. Brock, how you doing today?
Oh, doing good. I'm back, everyone. Out of the town last week, so I couldn't.
Or timer allegations.
Yeah. And, doing good. Ready to be back and get these matches done and ready for champs, because that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, it's like the no fans major is going to be a vibe kill, but either way, still major LAN. It's still fun to watch somebody get another chip on the board. Yeah, we'll talk some matches. I think the interesting thing that I'm really excited to talk today is like the champs race, the ARs and subs thing we're going to talk about, as well as I actually want to start with this. I guess I didn't really have it down, but I was just listening like before we were recording on the way home from work and everything. I was listening to the Kenny Around the Bar episode with Hitch.
Mm-hmm.
And because everybody knows I'm a big Kenny fan, so I was like, oh, I saw that was coming out today. I'm gonna listen to that. Listening to that, and he was talking about like what legacy means to him in terms of Call of Duty and like what he's chasing and all that. And he was kind of talking about like, yeah, obviously like he doesn't know if he's chasing like being the GOAT, but like he's chasing like like a legacy. Like he wants to win a lot of chips and be like up there in the conversation for like one of the top players of all time. And he was kind of saying like, I don't know if I can even like set it as a realistic goal to like become the GOAT, because like accolades wise I'll never be able to reach it. And it kind of like got me thinking like, is there like a point you think, Brock, where we have to kind of change the criteria for what the GOAT is in Call of Duty if we continue on this CDL style format? Because like guys like Krim with 37 championships are never going to be caught. Like it's basically not possible. I mean, we have 4 to 5 majors a year in this CDL format. And even let's be generous and let's say there's 5 majors a year. So Krim has 37 chips, 3 rings. Let's say there's 5 majors a year. I mean, just alone, a player in 7 years, if they won every major, if there was 5 majors a year, and some years there's only 4, like this year. But even being generous, let's say there's 5 majors a year, and a player for 7 straight years wins every major, they still wouldn't even tie Krim's chips. They'd be at 35. And most COD careers don't last 7 years alone, let alone 7 years at the top. And let's be honest, like nobody's winning 7 straight years every major. That's just to show how ridiculous it is. And I'm kind of wondering, like, what Krim did is incredible. Obviously, he's the GOAT. Like, he won so many tournaments, not taking away from him. But like the fact that in AW they were going to 15 tournaments in a single season, and this year it takes them 3 years to hit 15 tournaments. I'm kind of wondering if at some point, like, I don't know, does the eye test need to be more involved? Do we need to weigh rings heavier? I don't know.
If the current way of the CDL format's gonna keep going like this, like you said, it's got to be a more like the eyeball test. I feel like, because no one's catching Krim with so many accolades and chips, and it just, unless they play for like 10 years, they might even hit 20. That's 1 in 2 years still. It's very hard to do.
I mean, yeah, Kenny hit 9. He's one of our winningest players. Water, Simp, and Abezy, I think they just hit 10.
I think they just hit 10 not long ago.
Yeah, so like, and they've been like at the top for like pretty much all the CDL era, and even like the year before the CDL era, they've been on top.
Yeah, like 5 years now.
Because like, let me look here. Yeah, so Simp and Abezy have 10 wins each, and 3 of them were online.
Mm-hmm.
So Simp and Abezy only have 7 LAN wins.
Yeah.
They have 10 wins, 3 being online, which are probably all home series, I would guess. Yeah, home series in the MW. Maybe they won one of the online ones. I remember early Cold War majors were online, so I guess one of them could be early Cold War. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, they have 10 chips. Who's the most of active players? Is it them? I'm thinking. Oh, Clay. I'm completely forgetting about Clay. Yeah, Clay obviously has the most. Duh, yeah. I forgot about him. 19, 3 of them being online. And and Simp and Abezy have been like at the absolute top. I can't imagine anybody having a more dominant run in the future of Call of Duty. Where like, not saying Simp and Abezy are dominant where they win every tournament, but I can't imagine there's gonna be too many people that are in more finals than Simp and Abezy consistently going forward.
Nah, because like they've been in mostly every final for the last like 5 years.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I think the rings thing definitely needs to be considered. I would say probably to get over Crim, you probably need to win minimum 3 rings.
Yeah,
Because I will say, to Crim's credit, he does have 37 wins when there was way more tournaments and stuff. But the 3 rings, you could argue he won the 1 online, but his first 2 rings you could argue were a lot harder to win than rings currently are. Kind of like the flip side of the amount of tournaments.
Yeah,
where like the amount of tournaments may be harder to catch up to now, but also like from the flip side, the rings may be technically, not saying they're like easier or a ring is an easy accomplishment, but like he was playing in 32 team champs pools.
Yeah, not 8.
With the pool play and all that stuff. Whereas like now to win a ring, it's like 3 series and you're done. Still very hard to win a ring. Like when you just say like 3 series to win, and it makes it sound like it's nothing. It's still obviously very hard to win a ring saying that.
Yes. So it's kind of got a way of them different. Or we can just go back to how it used to be. It's a lot more fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the dream would be we go back to 8+ tournaments a year, and Crim's goal, Crim's like bar he set is technically doable. That's obviously the goal, but like, I just don't know if that's at all possible. I guess. I mean, neither of us can say if it's possible. We don't know what's going to happen in the future with the format of Call of Duty League.
Yeah, it's just no one's catching them anytime soon, or really ever, unless they go back to the format.
Yeah.
Or would you say like if Simp has 4 rings, but like 15 tournaments, would you consider that maybe over Crim? Or
see, it's so tough. It's so tough to me because like I don't think there's a clear answer. Like if Simp hits like 5 rings, I think it's going to be like, to me, probably pretty clear he's the GOAT. But like if he's at 4 rings but 15 tournament wins, like you said, he has 22 less than Crim. It's hard because, in my opinion, I feel like eye test of Simp's peak, I think talent-wise he might be a better player than Crim, but I'm not ready to just be like, Simp is 100% a better player than Crim at his peak, no doubt. Like, I feel like a lot of people remember Crim later career when he was still a good player, but he wasn't like takeover mode, like, like superstar player in like CDL era. He was still very good, but he wasn't like takeover superstar. Whereas Simp has been, seems like, for a while now. I still think, I feel like Simp eye test wise is the best player I've ever seen. I still say that to this day. So like, I think talent wise he's the best. But like, once again, if you're gonna make the argument that like Crim also had that super high peak and Crim has 37 wins in 3 rings, like I can't really argue with you much if you're gonna say Crim's the GOAT.
Yeah,
like he's absolutely in the conversation, and right now certainly is.
Yeah, just all the stats.
It's such an interesting conversation though, and I thought that was like something that Kenny brought up that it's something I thought about, but like I haven't really dove as deep into it as like potentially I want to, and like really like think about it that way. Oh, I guess this isn't updated. This says on the top updated as of June 18th, 2023, and I guess Simp and Abezy have one more. So this was updated as of like last year's champs, I believe. So I guess Simp and Abezy have 11, but either way.
Yeah. Still hard to catch Crim current CDL format.
Yeah, it is crazy. It really is crazy to think about. Like he will never be caught unless it changes. But like we're gonna have to change the criteria of how we view the GOAT and just like realize it's different eras if we ever want to even have the conversation. Because if it's gonna come down to chips and rings, it's always gonna be Crim, unless like a guy like Simp goes like 5-6 rings, then it's gonna be like pretty hard to question.
Yeah.
But then at that point, Abezy probably also has 5 or 6 rings as well, because they're probably going to be together their whole career, I would assume.
Yeah, it's just, crazy to think about.
Yeah, Crim is stupid to think about 37. I feel like the more perspective you get now, harder it is for some of these teams to win now, the crazier it like seems. Like Crim has 37 wins. I mean, then there's Scump with 30, and then obviously Karma 24, Formal 23. Like those guys all just the way that those 4 won is just even more insane to think about.
Yeah,
Now
you
as
just
you
had
watch
to be
our
there.
yeah, I mean the AW and BO3 years especially, and even IW, they won a bunch of events in that game. Just that Jetpack era OpTic Dynasty team makes it even more crazy to think about how much they really won. Considering even like an amazing team like Faze that might be the best team we've ever seen with this trio still struggles to win in the finals. Just absurd, some of these wins that Krim had.
Yeah.
Speaking of one of our all-time greats, Brock Slasher, this was talked about on the Flank as well as like a Breaking Point podcast and stuff. But apparently, Brock, I think this one will have you scratching your head or maybe beating your head. Rocker were evaluating a roster after Major 2 that would have been Slasher, Dylan Rex, Vivid, and Linz. So basically sounds like Slasher and Accuracy in for, or Slasher and Dylan Rex, sorry, in for Accuracy and Awakening, who it would have been at the time. They would have kept Vividon and Linz, the sub duo, and just changed out the AR duo for Slasher and Dylan Rex. Very much questioning why they didn't do this. Because Slasher, to me, for what this team needs, an upgrade over Accuracy, and Awakening was playing horrible when he was in, and Dylan Rex, from what we heard, has been one of the best flex type players in Challengers.
Yeah, should have pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and especially because in hindsight, and we said, like, to be fair, right away at the time, we said we liked the change in bringing in Gunless for Big Wake, but we both did not like the Standy in for Vivid change. Both of us said that at the time. Like, this isn't a hindsight thing for us. We both agreed that taking Vivid out made no sense for the team. We thought it was just a one-person change needed, and Accuracy at the time was actually playing decent. Now, obviously, like, I can see a world where you want to take him out, but like, to me, the first change was if you want to make an Accuracy change, sure, but at least change out Awakening. And we said that you keep Vivid and Linz because I think Linz is being unlocked a lot by how aggressive Vivid is in front of him, and Vivid was also really good with a third AR. This team would be, I mean,
a lot better,
miles better than what they are now. They are horrible right now.
Yep, should have pulled the trigger when they had the chance. And now they're kind of stuck with the roster for now.
Well, and also, like, I mean, Linz has been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Since the Vivid change. Like, a lot worse.
Yeah. He was, like, basically Rookie of the Year at that point, and now not so much since he hasn't been playing so well after the change.
Yeah, he was basically, like, undisputed Rookie of the Year for a while there. I mean, I'm trying to, like, filter by the qualifiers here on stats wise just to, like, see his comparison. I mean, yeah, so it's not like a huge drop off numbers wise, but in majors 1 and 2, both qualifiers in LAN, Linz had a 1.03. And then so far for the major 3 qualifiers tournament, and then the couple matches of major 4 qualifiers, he's at a 0.97. So, I mean, he's dropped from 1.03 to a 0.97 if you take those 2 splits, like, apart, but still, like, eye test wise also has just not looked nearly as good as he did in those first couple stages. And I do think that's in part to Vivid really being able to unlock him a lot more.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's been like a significant drop off from Linz individually. I still think he's an incredible player.
Yeah, I fully agree with that.
It's puzzling why they wouldn't have gone with that roster, because just Vivid was never the issue with this team. And I still to this day don't have a justifiable answer, unless it was because Vivid, like, he took that little break because he had some outside the game, like, family stuff going on. That's like the only logical way that you can justify dropping Vivid still to this time, is if he was basically like, I need to, take care of stuff in my personal life, so can you bench me or something?
Yeah.
It's like the only logical way.
Yeah. That team would have been, I would have liked how that team would have been.
Well, because even if Dylan Rex wasn't in there, and if it was the Slasher Gunless duo joining, I still would have liked it. It's just keep Vivid and Linz together, either keep Accuracy. Really, all you have to do is just upgrade Awakening and keep the roster, or upgrade Awakening and potentially upgrade Accuracy if a fit was there. So, like, the Slasher, to me, obviously is an upgrade over Accuracy, and then Dylan Rex, sure, he's been incredible in Challengers, give him a shot, or put Gunless in there for the chemistry with Slasher. Like, I just made no sense to me. Still, to this day, makes no sense to me. And it pisses me off because Rocker now just look horrible. And it was a very avoidable thing that everybody saw coming.
Yep. But, it's how it works sometimes.
These teams are just making boneheaded decisions. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Fun little exercise to get off our negative Minnesota Rocker talk. I want to talk about who do you have as the top 3 ARs and subs so far this year. And I think at the end, maybe we'll do an honorable mention for players from the non-top 4 teams, because I feel like every player in your top 3 ARs and subs is probably going to be from a top 4 team. I don't really know how it couldn't be.
Yeah.
So I feel like the list for ARs to me is very straightforward. I think the sub list, I think for subs, I think it's guaranteed 2 guys are like certainly on the list for best subs on the year. And I think that there's pretty much ARs to me. I think the 3 best are on lock, at least for what I see. Maybe you feel differently. So let's start with ARs because I think it's a little more straightforward. But Brock, who you guys are your top 3 ARs in the year? You can give a little backstory as to why you maybe have them.
Well, first, I in no order, I guess I should say. I'm just rattling off these players. I have Scrap. You know, basically carrying the team all year when they weren't doing so hot and put up numbers as usual.
Yeah.
Man,
Yep, I agree.
Yep. I'm gonna go with Cellium as well, because I would put up the numbers, but as of recently has some bad maps. But overall, pretty stellar on the season for him. And top 3, I'm gonna go with Dashy.
Okay.
I like Dashy.
I think Dashy for me was probably number 4. I have the same. I mean, I don't know how you could have anybody besides Scrap and Cellium. That's pretty straightforward. And I guess to me, I actually would have Cellium as my 3rd. I think Draza, I know the numbers wise, I mean, Cellium's at a 1.22 and Draza's at a 1.09. Like numbers wise, maybe, whatever. But Draza just like, he has looked so good. He's added a different pace to this team. Been really good in S&D as well. I think Draza is the 3rd AR to me, along with Cellium and Scrap. I mean, where's Draza at in search this year? I feel like he's been maybe closer to a 1. Yeah. Wow, he's at a 0.93. That kind of surprises me. I feel like he's been really good in search this year.
I definitely would have thought like 1.1.
Yeah, I mean, Dashy's at a 1.14. Dashy's been incredible. I don't hate the Dashy pick at all. Maybe it's more recency bias because I do feel like Draza was really good to start the year, but I feel like the last major 3 into this split, and then this weekend he was incredible, broke the kill record for the game. I just feel like Draza since major 3 on has just been so good. I mean, yeah, Draza major 3 on for qualifiers, and then so far major 4, he's 1.12, which is 4th behind Cellium, Scrap, and Hydra. He's ahead of Simp. And then if you sort that by a hard point in that stretch, Draza's at a 1.13. If you sort it into search and destroy, he is still not that high up as I would think he is. Wow. 0.9. Dashy, though, with a 1.34 in that stretch, but he was pretty incredible at search and destroy at the major, so that's not really that much of a shock.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tej number 2 in that category when I sorted it. That's kind of funny. I don't know. I guess I would say Draza, he's just been so good lately. Like, he has been shooting. I feel like it's the best form I can remember seeing Draza in quite some time.
Yeah.
But I would say Dashy is not a bad shout from you. Interestingly enough, Attach is up there with the 1.1. Skies is actually right there with the 1.08, which kind of surprised me. Pretty hard to say Skies are attached though, because they haven't had nearly the impact that Draza or Dashy have had on their teams winning a major.
Yeah.
I would say that's. What were you gonna say?
Oh, sorry. I kind of put Dashy over Draza in the sense that Dashy, he has been super just clutching everything in search and destroy.
That's 100% true and a really good point. He has been. I mean, I forget the stat, but he has the most.
I think it's 15 on the season.
Yeah, and he's got it by a wide margin. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dashy's not a bad shot at all. It's not something I hear you say and I'm that's crazy. It's just also really hard to put anybody not in the top 4 teams in there because every other team outside the top 4 has had really low lows. So it's hard to say anybody from those teams cracks the top 3 players at a position. But we'll mention some honor. Actually, since we just did ARs, let's do our honorable mentions for non-top 4 teams. I think the obvious one for ARs on non-top 4 teams is Ghosty.
Ghosty, yep.
He's been incredible all year, as well as Attach, obviously, with the 1.1. Got to shout him out. I also think a low-key shout-out, since he joined the team, he's been like really good eye test-wise to me. I love this player, Geo.
He's a shooter.
Interestingly enough, Brock, Geo is 12th in the league in KD, tied with Dashy.
I saw. Jeez. Yeah, he's
Geo,
been playing real good.
he's a shooter. Like, we'll talk about Vegas in a little bit, but I think he deserves, obviously, Ghosty deserves an honorable mention. To me, like, you got to mention guys like Attach, Skies, Ghosty. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Let's move to subs, Brock. What are you going to say?
I said that's what I was going to say. Attach, Ghosty.
Yeah, to me, the best honorable mention outside the top 4 teams is for sure Ghosty. Obviously, I mentioned Skies. He's at New York, but Ghosty, to me, clear honorable mention for those guys. He's been an absolute star for LAT.
Yeah.
In terms of subs, I think it's a little harder. I think both of us can agree, though. Hydra and Simp are certainly the top 2.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been incredible. No shocker. To me, those are the 2 best subs in the game. I think where it gets a little bit more questionable is number 3. I probably lean towards Pred.
Yeah.
But like Shotzzy and Abezy have certainly have arguments as well.
Yeah, they have like certain play styles.
It's also hard to say in this game, like, because like Pred and even Hydra at times like are using an AR so often.
Mm-hmm.
So I say Hydra and Simp, and honestly, it's hard for me. I say take your pick between like Pred, Abezy, Shotzzy for 3.
Yeah. Even Kleenex to an extent.
I disagree on Kleenex though. I think he's been good. I just think as of late he has not been on the level of like any of those guys. I think he's just been like, since Toronto has had their struggles, I think he's been a step below the Faze subduo, the OpTic subduo, and Hydra. Obviously, Kismet hasn't been as good this year, but I think he's like a step below.
Yeah, he's like so just like inconsistent,
and he wasn't early in the year, which is why he was way up there. I mean, he's at, since Major 3 qualifiers on, he's at a 1.01. Whereas in that same time frame, I mean, Shotzi's a 1.06, Abezy's a 1.1, Simp's 1.11, Pred's 1.12, Hydra's 1.16. Kleenex, like, eye test wise too. He's just been like a little bit more up and down, I feel like. So it's hard for me to justify putting him up there in top 3 conversations, although he is still an excellent player, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess where I was trying to get that maybe like not top 3, but top 5.
yeah, that's I would agree. That's a better argument. Yeah. In terms of non-top 4 team honorable mentions, I think there's one
I got
standout player. I think there's one standout player, and there are definitely others, but to me, there's one that should be shouted from the mountaintops first. I'm curious if
we might have maybe the same one.
Yeah, Nero? Absolutely. I think he's been the best sub on a non-top 4 team, even over Gwyn. Nero has been awesome this year.
No matter what, ups and downs for the team, he's been putting up numbers.
Dude, he has been awesome, and he is 9th in KD overall in the season at a 1.06. The only subs he trails is Pred, Simp, and Hydra, and like we said, Pred uses an AR a lot. Simp can use an AR at times. Hydra can use an AR at times. Nero can, but a lot of times, like, he does seem to be using a sub. Maybe I could be wrong, but I feel like I see Nero with a sub out a lot more than ever having an AR.
Yeah.
Dude, and he's been awesome in Search and Destroy too. Like, just the plays he's making. He has some huge maps. He was great against OpTic this weekend. Obviously, Vegas has had their big time struggles lately. But Nero has just overall been awesome. I mean, the kid is good. I love watching Nero play.
Yeah. He's so underrated still. People just don't give him no love still.
Well, his play style is so, like, he's bound to have some stinker series as well. I mean, the dude is 6 on the year. He's got a 1.13 in hardpoint, Brock. That's better than Hydra.
Jeez.
He's behind only Johnny, Cellium, Simp, Scrap, and Geo in hardpoint, which is crazy to think there's 3 Vegas Legion players in the top 6. And Attaches 8th. Vegas Legion has all 4 of their players in hardpoint KD in the top 8.
Jeez. I remember last year at Vegas couldn't get a hardpoint to save their life.
That's kind of hilarious. But I think Nero's the absolute honorable mention. Then to me, I'd say the next honorable mention for non-top 4 players, it goes to Gwyn. He hasn't been as good as of late, but he overall this year has been very, very, very good.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
Linz would be up there, but he's had a little bit of a downfall as of late. I'm also just scrolling the list of the SMGs and stuff, and he hasn't definitely been like in the top conversation, but TJ's had a really good year this year.
He's been a lot more consistent.
Yeah, TJ's had a very good year this year. Another player down here that I see that has had very low lows at times, but Real has impressed me as well. Obviously not talking like top 3 conversation, but
yeah, he has been pretty good since put into the Vegas. Not Vegas, Miami.
Miami.
Oh man, I wish we would have saw more of Gwyn and Real play for Carolina.
Yeah, that could be a very interesting sub duo. A lot of aggression there.
Yeah,
Brock, let's talk who's going to make champs.
LEG.
You know what? It's not impossible just based on the way things are shaking out in remaining schedules and stuff. So I've got like a pretty big list here of the remaining schedules. It's interesting. So based on we'll mention these 2 teams quickly, but I think you and I both agree that unless something crazy happens, I do believe Surge and LAT are going to be pretty locked into champs. So Surge remaining schedule, they have NYSL as a top 4 team, but they're 2-0 on the split, so pretty much locked into winners, and they play Boston, Vegas, Miami, LAG, one of the easiest remaining schedules, and they're currently in 5th place, number 1 of the bottom 8 teams. So to me, Seattle Surge, I see them beating at least 3 of the 5 remaining matches they have in New York, Boston, Vegas, Miami, and LAG. I think they're for sure going to beat Boston, Miami, and LAG, I should say.
Yeah.
So to me, I think we can kind of eliminate Surge from the conversation of making champs because I think they are locked in, right?
Yeah.
And then the other team I'll say is going to be locked in, but not necessarily fully locked in, but for the sake of this conversation and to keep it a little bit more short, we're going to say that they're locked. That's LAT. Once again, I'm not fully convinced that LAT is locked in. They're 15 points above the cutoff right now, but they do have remaining matches against Toronto, Faze, and New York. And then their non-top 4 teams they play are Carolina and LAT. Or Carolina and Vegas, sorry.
Yeah, that's
so like Vegas
for them.
Yeah, Vegas and Carolina not like playing like Boston and LAG or something. They're a little tougher. So I still think Thieves, though, with the fact that they are 2-0 on the split, they'll find at least 1 win in those matches, make winners. I think Thieves will squeak into champs. So we're going to take them out of the conversation. So that leaves us.
I would say it could get scary if they do start losing to these, like they don't actually get a win and they haven't been winning on LAN either.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I was going to say like we're going to say for the sake of the conversation, they're locked in, but I 100% see your point, and I think you are very, very, very right that they aren't locked in because, like you said, if they lose to the top 4 teams, then they happen to lose one of the other ones. All of a sudden, it gets scary. They have a tough matchup. They get bounced to losers right away, and they need a win. They've been very bad on LAN this year, so I 100% agree with you. I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So then that leaves us with our next, we're going to say 5 teams fighting for the last 2 spots because I don't think they're still technically mathematically eliminated, but we're going to say Boston's eliminated.
Yeah, they're not. They haven't won 3 months. They're not going to win now.
I don't think. Once again, they're not technically. I don't think mathematically eliminated, but they're eliminated. So that leaves us with Miami and Rocker, who are tied at 130 and are both clinging on to their champ spots, and then Vegas, Carolina, and LAG all tied at 120. So first team, we'll talk about the team in 7th, Brock. It's Miami. They're at 130 points. They have remaining matches against Rocker, which is obviously a huge one, the team right below them. LAG, another huge one. And they play Toronto. The only 2 top 4 teams they play are Toronto and Faze. I think Miami's going to make champs, Brock. I'll say that. I think they're going to be the team that I feel most confident in saying will make champs just because they do have the 10-point lead already. And I do think they should be able to take out Minnesota, probably. And they probably should be able to take out LAG. And then I think in the Seattle and Carolina matches, they'll probably find 1 win, maybe against Carolina, maybe not. But I think Miami, I think they're going to win minimum 2 more matches, get themselves into winners bracket, potentially find themselves at 150, 160. Although I can see a world where they would lose to like ultra Seattle, Faze, and one of the other teams maybe bow out early. But I do feel like they have an inside track, being that they're up and that they do play LAG in Minnesota and Carolina.
Yeah, they at least gonna win 2.
Yeah, but also, like, once again, I wouldn't be shocked if they start losing again because they're just not that good.
Yeah, they are up and down. They'll win a couple, lose a lot, win some more.
Yeah. For the side of Minnesota, they're our next team. They're in 8th. I don't think they're going to make champs. They still have to play OpTic, New York, and Ultra, which to me are all going to be losses. I think Vegas is going to start rounding into form. Kind of a bold prediction, I guess I have. I think they're going to start rounding into form. And Vegas, I think, will beat them. I think their only chance at a win is against Miami. And I don't know if they're going to win that. I don't know that Minnesota wins another match online. And then going to LAN, I don't think they're going to do much. I think Minnesota's going to miss out on champs.
Yeah, I think they would have to beat Miami, and then the top 4 teams is. So I'm with on board with you. I don't think they're gonna beat Vegas. I think they have to try and beat subliners.
Well, and if they're going to win champs, they 100% have to beat Miami and Vegas in the qualifiers.
Yeah, so this is looking grim for them.
Because if they beat Miami and Vegas, they will be in winners because they do have the 1 win already in this split.
Yeah.
They will be in winners, which would be a big help. I would say if they can somehow squeak out 3 match wins, but they can't even squeak out 3 in a stage. So I don't know how they're going to do it here in the next 5. So I think Minnesota is going to be gone out of champs, which brings us to our next team who is currently sitting in 9th. That's the Vegas Legion. Brock, I'm going to say this is our 8th team that makes champs.
I like it.
They have remaining matches against only 1 top 4 team, and they beat OpTic. So they play NYSL, which, once again, of the top 4 teams, is probably the one you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
They play NYSL. They play then Seattle, who's the team you don't want to play outside the top 4. They are definitely the 5th best team right now. And they play both LA teams in Minnesota. So to me, Vegas is going to beat LAG in Minnesota to get them to 140, as well as a winner's bracket berth. And then I think they're going to find a way to win enough matches where they make it in, because I think Miami will be sitting at 150 after online. I think Minnesota will still be at 130. I think Vegas will be at 140. I think Carolina is only going to win 2 more matches. I think they're only going to beat Miami and Boston. So they'll be at 140 as well. And then I think LAG is only going to win 1 more match. So they'll be at 130. So I think we're going to go into our LAN with LAG at 130 and then both Carolina and Vegas at 140. And it's just going to be a race between those 3 teams.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Rocker's going to do anything.
Yeah, that's a huge win that they got on OpTic.
Huge win. And also a huge win for LAG over Carolina, because Carolina could have put themselves at 130 and they would actually be holding the 8th spot right now. Instead, they choke that match against LAG, and LAG ties up the thing at 120 and puts themselves only 10 points back and keeps Carolina down. That was a huge choke from Carolina to lose to LAG.
Yeah. Man, Carolina is like only if they played just as well on LAN and online.
Yeah. And I mean, I just want to go straight to predictions after this, so I guess we can talk, because I don't want to talk too much about the matches from the weekend, since we've already used time for just other things today. I will say though, just to talk about some of the things we saw this weekend. I mean, OpTic, I'm gonna write it off as a weird match. We'll see what happens with them going forward. Maybe a little hangover from winning. It was just very odd. But shout out to Vegas, because once again, this Vegas team, in terms of the bottom 8 teams, I still believe, even through their struggles, we've been saying this, in terms of shooters, this Vegas team to me has some of the best talent.
Agreed.
Of any of the bottom 8 teams. Attach, shooter. We know that. Geo, shooter. Nero can be a shooter. And Johnny, raw skill-wise, he can be a shooter. To me, just gun for gun skill talent-wise, I don't know which of the bottom 8 teams I would say are definitively better. Vegas is right up there towards the top of the bottom 8. So I think it was only a matter of time before this team clicked. And with Johnny, they only had 2 matches with Johnny before this weekend, and they both went to a map 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They certainly have not been bad with Johnny, and losing 2 map 5s, and this weekend they come out, beat OpTic. I like this Vegas Legion team a lot. I still think they have a lot of talent. I really want to see them make champs because to me, like I said, with the shooters they have, I would much rather see them than like a team like Miami or Minnesota who are clinging right now because I think those teams will just get steamrolled by Atlanta and OpTic. But I think if like
Yeah.
Vegas makes an 8 seed, they could, with the shooters they have, at least make a series interesting. I still don't think they will beat an OpTic or a Faze on land, but they could at least make it interesting.
Yeah, but they've shown in the past, like, too, they've been pretty close against the top 4 teams.
Yeah, like they can do it. They have the shooters to do it, whereas I don't think a team like Minnesota or Miami does.
Yeah, I would have to agree there.
Another note from this weekend: what the hell, subliners against Faze? They should have won all 4 of the first 4 maps. Just very weird. I don't even like know how to like describe what I watched. It was so odd. So in that series, Brock, it was just so weird. Like New York comes out, they win the map 1. It's like, okay, New York, I see you. They absolutely troll the invasion map 2 and lose that one. And then the Karachi, they're down 2-0. They have a crazy comeback, reverse sweep the control. They're up 2-1. Then the Karachi hardpoint, they just blacked out. Like they were broken on P2 and then rotating to P3, they basically knew with the way that Faze was coming that like Faze pretty much like had to go junk. They pretty much gave up junk, let them walk through and break the hill for free and get all the kills, spawn them out, and they won the map, and they lose the final map. They should have won all of the first 4 maps. They just absolutely trolled and then lost in a map 5 in an absolute simp masterclass.
Mm-hmm. Should have won, but trolled. And it seems like they've been up on these top teams. They're just trolling, blacking out at the end.
And yeah, it was an excellent series from Draza also, by the way. But I will say, Brock, one thing to note from this series, I think this series overall is going to end up being a net positive for New York because they played Faze so well, like they should have beat them. And also because Kismet is getting his swagger back. Kismet was 114 and 93 with 20,000 damage in the series. Dropped to 1.23. Like, if Kiz is in that form, this New York team could beat anyone. It's just Kismet has not been in that form for a while this year.
Yeah. Agreed. Shout out Jaza for the kill record. Now 47.
Yeah, that was. And they lost the map too. Funny thing. I guess a couple other notes from this weekend. I guess I don't know. I don't really want to talk about too many other teams because overall, like, yeah, whatever. It's a lot of the bottom teams. I do want to give a shout out to Seattle though, Brock. Seattle to me has solidified themselves as our 5th best team. You know, the other argument would probably be LAT. A little bit too inconsistent, but Seattle has just been bringing it since the roster change and bringing in 04. Like, they look good, Brock. They take out Toronto this weekend. They take out Minnesota. They really dominated Minnesota. Against Toronto, they pull off a reverse sweep, which takes some crazy composure. And even the first 2 maps were close. Abezy has just been shooting since the major, dropped a 1.16 in the Toronto series and a 1.12 in the Minnesota series. Everybody across the board in the Minnesota series had good numbers, though. They were just kind of dominating them.
Yeah.
But in that Toronto series specifically, like when you look at the kills and stuff, they were relatively even. They actually lost in the kill department and were able to win the series. But like they play fast and they play together. And it's just they are the team that can upset top 4 teams right now of anybody.
Mm-hmm.
They play fast and they play together.
Agreed. I was gonna say, like, what a turnaround from this team we were calling like the worst team and like
they were the worst team,
and they couldn't get a kill or a win. Say the left, and now the turnaround is just crazy.
I mean, yeah, you say that we were calling them the worst team, but like to be fair, they were the worst team when we were calling them that.
Yeah, it's just the turnaround they have from the 2-player switch.
Yeah, it's been pretty unreal, to be honest with you. Like, literally almost unbelievable. I mean, obviously, like, the roster change helped. If they would have the same roster, it wouldn't be the case. But, like, also crazy that Abezy finally gets on the role that he's most comfortable with. And, like,
look what he's doing.
looks incredible. Like, he probably is the rookie of the year now at this point.
Yeah.
Because the fact that his main competition was Linz and Gwyn, and they've both been having a little bit down last little bit here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would have to agree.
So, I mean, shout out to Seattle Surge, man. That was the other thing I wanted to mention from the weekend. They've been really good. And Brock, our standings here for our picks. You weren't here last week, and I had to mention it, but you officially lost the season series. You're playing for Pride now. I swept you, majors 1 through 3. We're close going into week 2 of this major, thankfully, because I picked OpTic for 4 points against Vegas. So I got a big -4 there. Interestingly enough, though, Brock, did you see Saturday was my birthday, and I guess my present for the podcast was I picked the entire day exactly right, including series
Jeez.
counts.
And you did.
Which is kind of funny. I guess it was birthday luck. I didn't really get a chance to catch too much of the matches besides highlights because I was pretty busy celebrating the birthday with my girlfriend that day. So it was not able to catch too much. And then going through, I was like, damn, I got every match exactly right. So that was an interesting day. I don't know if either of us have really done that on a 4-match day this year at all, because it's tough to do.
Yeah, I don't
Luck of
think
the draw
so.
a lot of times if you get it exactly right.
Yeah, to be fair, we should have kind of. I mean, the first one and third one on the first day should have got right. Little upsets there, and the last one.
Yeah. And like the second day, like it wasn't like the most straightforward predictions. Like I feel like LAT going to a mat 5 against LAG wasn't like a super common thing. And then like, the 2-3-0s in the middle between OpTic and Toronto, I feel like were pretty predictable. But then like I feel like to say that NYSL was gonna get pushed to a game 5 by Carolina wasn't like super common. So interesting there. That really propelled me to a 12-8 lead, which gives you veto advantage again this week. Interesting matches this week. Like I said, every match now for this online split does have a little bit more behind it because there are a lot of champs qualifications and implications on the line. And we start out with honestly a pretty banger match. Seattle versus NYSL is an awesome match just for the fact that like we saw Seattle go 2-0 this weekend, take out a bad Minnesota team, but also they were able to take out a top 4 team in Toronto. And a team that a lot of us would have ahead of NYSL. So interesting. Like, we're going to have to start having some interesting conversations about Seattle if they're able to take down NYSL. However, Brock, I don't think they do it. I think they're going to push them to a game 5, but I think NYSL is going to be able to clutch up, and I'm putting 2 points on it.
Ooh, I like it, but I'm going opposite of you. 3-2 Seattle. They do it again.
There will be some serious
top 4
conversations.
team.
Yeah, serious conversations if they do that.
I'll put 2 points on it as well.
Then the second match is a huge match in terms of champs implications. I mean, these are our 2 teams tied at 130 that are clinging on to our last 2 spots. It's Minnesota. It's Miami. Like I said, to be honest, I kind of don't want either of them to make champs. I kind of hope it's Vegas and Carolina because A, I think Vegas is shooters, and B, I think Carolina are just a team that I like and enjoy the players on.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it's going to be the case. I do think Miami's probably going to end up making champs, and I do think they're going to win here. I'm going to say they get pushed to... Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to pick Miami. It's a smart thing to do. I'm going to say Miami 3-2 and put 1 point on it because I feel like I pick Minnesota every time. It's like your LAG. I pick them every time, and they just lose. So I'm going to say Miami 3-2 and put 1 point on it. Unless you end up picking Miami, I might just switch to Minnesota for the hell of it.
I was thinking of picking Miami in a 3-1 fashion.
Okay.
And I'll put 2 points on it.
All right, I'm switching mine to Minnesota 3-2 then for fun.
All right. Vamos with Purge now.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about Purge. Is he playing again this week though? I thought it was only for 1 weekend.
I heard it's a 14-day contract. So
I think they have to sign him to that though, because I think like that's like the 10-day like thing, like how you have like 10-day contracts in the NBA. I'm pretty sure like the minimum thing you have to sign somebody for is a 14-day.
Yeah.
So I think they have to keep him.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think he's probably not going to play Fickle's back.
Okay. Unless I maybe missed something on the timeline.
Did they ever say what happened to Fickle or something?
I don't remember. I really don't remember what happened. They might have said it, and I might have missed it. I don't know. Obviously, we hope it's nothing serious. Hope it was just like he had something come up where he just was unable to make it.
Yeah.
Unfortunate time for him though to be able to miss because like crucial matches obviously here.
Yeah, it's crunch time and then he wins.
Yeah. Brock, do you think Carolina's going to pull off a miracle in our final match on Friday? Are they going to take out Atlanta Faze, or are we going to see Carolina fall again and really put their champs' hopes in a desperate place?
They're gonna lose 3-0, and I'll put 2 points on it.
Yeah, it seems likely. However, I'm just going to say 3-1 Atlanta because Carolina's going to claw like they usually do, putting 2 points on it. Atlanta 3-1. Going into Saturday, we're to the 3-4-3 format in terms of number of matches again. About damn time. Boston versus Seattle, Brock. I mean, Boston haven't won since like major 2 qualifiers. They are so bad at S&D. And once again, the weird thing about this Boston team is like player wise, like shooter wise, they've got some shooters. Like this whole team is shooters. I mean, Beans is an absolute shooter. Snoopy is a shooter. Priesta is even a shooter. Like this team overall, adding Major Maniac, he's a shooter. It's just like they seemed like they tried to improve in Search and Destroy by adding Major Maniac. They just got so slow and respawn.
Yeah.
Like, just doesn't really fit with this team at all. They are so bad. Like they have shooters in this team, and they're just so bad at actually like fundamentally playing the game. And I don't see a world where they win, especially with how good Seattle looks. I'm going Seattle 3-0, 2 points.
I'm gonna go Seattle 3-1, and I'll put my 4 points on it.
Okay. Seattle
Now
3-1.
Yeah, and now I can't wait for Boston to win.
Yeah, it's probably one of the first times in quite some time I would say that one of us put our 4 points on a non-top 4 team. Maybe this entire year.
Yeah, I probably
Which is interesting. I thought you were going to put it on a different match, but now I guess I'll throw it on that match. NYSL versus Vegas, Brock. NYSL has like a really weird week. Like I feel good about them, but like Vegas is the team once again, even through their struggles. Like I feel good about this current roster comp. And NYSL plays Seattle and Vegas, so like 2 teams that have significant upset potential and need wins. I still think NYSL is going to take this, but I'm going to say they get pushed to another game 5. I think Vegas makes this one very competitive. I'm putting 2 points on NYSL.
I'm gonna go NYSL 3-1, and I'll put 2 points. I think Kid's gonna have another fantastic day.
I would love to see it. It's going to make champs a lot more entertaining if Kiz is firing and New York is looking better.
Yep.
Oh boy, Brock. Carolina gets another tough match against LAT. I have a weird feeling Carolina's actually going to get this one done in 5, finally win a match that we don't expect them to. I think LAT is going to be riding a high of 2-0 last week, and I think they might falter and lose a game 5 here, but I'm only putting 1 point on Carolina. Probably just like trying to will them to win, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna go LAT. They've been pretty dang good online.
Hopefully they have.
I'm gonna go. I like a 3-1, and I'll put 1 point on it.
Yeah, LAT has been very good online. No arguments from me there. And it's Miami and LAG. Just once again, Miami could have an absolutely massive week if they're able to get 2 wins on the board while also knocking down the people like right below them. Minnesota tied with them and LAG behind them by 10. I think LAG is going to get this done and make this race just that much more interesting. Miami beats Minnesota, then LAG beats Miami, and I think LAG is going to get it done in a Mat 5 against Miami. Put in 1 point on this one as well.
You kind of read my mind here, but I'll go 2 points for LAG.
In a 3-2.
Yeah, LAG is gonna make it very interesting. And then they're gonna lose 3-0 on Sunday.
Yeah, and we have an absolute just
Ew.
Brock, I'm not gonna lie to you. We can speedrun this Sunday. This is horrible. I'm saying it's a 3-0 in every match, and I'm putting 4 on Faze over LAG. I'm going Toronto 3-0 over Miami, and I'm putting 2 on it. And I'm going OpTic 3-0 over Minnesota and putting 2 on it.
Yeah, it might be the fastest Sunday ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's Atlanta LAG. For those of you that didn't hear it, it's Atlanta LAG, Toronto Miami, and OpTic versus Rocker.
Yeah, I'm on board with you. 3-0s for the first 2, and then I'm going to give Minnesota a 3-1 loss. I'll put 2 points for everyone.
Yeah, it's it. Yes, that Sunday is. That Sunday's something. I mean, I like, we have some matches on Saturday. Like, I'm interested to see how Seattle square, or on Friday, I'm interested to see how Seattle square off with NYSL. The Minnesota Miami, obviously for champs implications, is interesting, and I'm interested to see if Carolina can push Atlanta at all. And then even on Saturday, I'm interested to see how much Vegas can push NYSL. Carolina LAT in terms of champ standings, and Miami LAG in terms of champ standings. Interesting, but I expect those bottom teams to just kind of get stomped out on Sunday.
Yeah.
Although we say that, but Toronto lost this past weekend to a non-top 4.
Hopefully, see some upsets though.
Yeah, would be crazy if on Sunday we do see some upsets, but it's hard to see them when you're looking at the matches on paper.
Yeah, just it would make the champs race even more interesting.
Yeah, 100%. Last thing I wanted to ask you, Brock, you didn't get to talk about it all last week because you weren't here, and it's XDefiant. Your thoughts on XDefiant? So far, I kind of just mentioned really briefly last week that like I think it's a pretty fun game. I hope Ubisoft has put a lot of support, from what I know, into Rainbow Six esports and like the competitive scene, and that seems like something they could potentially do in XDefiant in a competitive scene because it is a very different game. More of an arena shooter in comparison to Rainbow Six, but they seem to have poured a lot of support into that esport, even though the game isn't maybe crazy popular. So interested to see what they do in terms of esports in XDefiant. But overall, I think the game's pretty fun. It's just such a tough market to break into because arena shooters are less popular today than they used to be. And also like Call of Duty for that kind of market, even though it hasn't been as good lately, Call of Duty does have a pretty good stranglehold in that market.
Yeah. Yeah. I've played XDefiant not as much as you have, but I do really love it for the fact when I play a public match, I don't have to play all these sweaters and skill-based matchmaking's not a thing.
Yeah, that is very nice. And also like you still get some lobbies where like the players are pretty good. I also just think like it's a little bit refreshing. Like the aim assist does feel a little weaker than like in Call of Duty the past however many years, and I feel like I'm able to like finesse and like kind of win gunfights off my skill. Whereas in like Call of Duty, it seems like a lot of times you just basically lock on, and like the aim assist is so strong you can just zap people. Whereas like I feel like I'm able to finesse a little bit more with my movement. I also like you and I have always been on record. I know they can be cheesy, but like specialist type abilities and like unique abilities to me in a game add some like ability to make unique plays and fun plays that you can't make in a more straight up traditional game. So I do enjoy the abilities, although obviously some of them can be cheesy and kind of dumb, but like for the most part, I do enjoy the abilities.
Yeah. The specialist plays just for watching perspectives makes the game so much more fun to watch because you just never know what can happen.
It just gives you more replayability too, being like just knowing that like I don't know, like that you have the chance to like finesse with your movement and use that specialist ability, and like I said, some of them can be kind of dumb, but overall I think the game is pretty fun. Like I feel like a lot of people go into it with the wrong mindset where they're like, "Oh my god, it's the COD killer, like it has to be better than COD or it's going to die." And it's like I don't think Ubisoft made this game, to be honest, expecting it to ever be bigger than COD. In terms of the arena shooter space, it's probably going to be pretty impossible for anything to ever pass up COD's popularity.
Yeah.
Ever since COD kind of took the title from Halo way back in the day, it pretty much has had a monopoly on that market. And there aren't too many other arena shooters in the genre that have ever even come close to Call of Duty. The only one that I know of and can think of like off the bat would be like Halo, obviously in its heyday. It was like extremely popular way back when.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
We both like it. The only thing I wish it would have, but no, I don't think it's possible, would you have the same movement as COD?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, not probably possible, but like I don't know. I like the movement in it. I think it's pretty smooth and fun.
Yeah, I do like it though. It gets when you first play, you gotta get used to the aim assist though. I've been playing with so much aim assist these last few years.
Yeah, I'm very, very, very excited for the ranked play mode. I'm like excited to try it out and like just see what rank you can get to, and like just like a different game to grind ranked on. I think it'll be fun because I do think the maps in the game are very fun. I think it has overall very, very good maps.
Yeah, it's
like better maps than we've seen in COD, like better original maps than we've seen in COD for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm excited for the rank play as well, and because COD has a bunch of cheaters in rank play, and it's just not a fun play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, you got anything else before we wrap this one up, Brock?
Not really. Other than that, play some COD here and there, watch some matches. Ready for champs. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited to go to champs also. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We appreciate all your support as always. Like Brock said, we're ready, gearing up to get ready for champs. Gonna be big, big, big time. Really excited for that. Hopefully we see some more bottom teams mess up the top 4 teams and like make things muddy going into the final major and champs. So we're not just sitting here saying the top 4 are locked in, but gonna kind of assume that's probably how it's gonna be. But hey, who knows? We're praying on like LAT and Seattle to kind of muddy things up, or maybe Vegas can storm out after their OpTic win and muddy things up.
Hmm.
But we appreciate you guys listening as always, and we will see you guys in the next one.